Well, I look at a lot of this stuff quite different than you guys, and it could be because I'm 71. I'm not a spring chicken. And I've seen society go through a lot of different stages. To me, okay, I'm fully on board, totally against this gender conversion, okay? But I don't understand what feminism has to do with it. And I just thought I'd comment on that. We don't need to go into that discussion. I'm just stating that's a fact for me. I have no idea. I do not look at myself as a feminist at all. And, but I'm fighting what's being done to the kids. The young girls transitioning to boys, they're taking testosterone. Testosterone, when men take it, can make them crazy sometimes. See, and a lot of people forget that. And we're going to see a lot more shootings just because, well, let's put it this way. There's a couple of classes of people that I'm seeing that are very angry very easily. They just don't seem to understand how to have any civil discussion, or they have no tolerance for disagreement. So that's a problem. So you've got angry people to start with. And then if you take those angry people and you start throwing them on hormonal therapy, you just take it up a notch. Then you've got a whole nother set of kids, young people with problems. If you look at the mass shooters, most of them, I have to find the stats on it, but it's about 90% of them are on medications for ADHD and this sort of thing. They're all medicated. It's not the guns that are the problem. It's these drugs they're taking, whether it's hormonal therapy or ADHD or whatever. They are not themselves. And there's no reason to have everyone all medicated up.
That's actually true. I want to touch on that. Here, the small school that my children went to, we had a problem with that completely because the school was so closed-mouthed about many issues that when you found out about it through a child telling, that the parents would be like, what is going on? And then the school would completely shut down on the parents and tell them nothing. Now, I even had problems with my autistic kids in the school. It wasn't about gender, but it was about so many other things, but mostly about friendship. Because autistics don't make friends very well, and that's one of the other reasons why the gender ideology cult is so appealing. Is because they say, oh, we'll love you no matter what, especially if you identify as something other than what you are. So they were trying to make sure that, in that school, they were trying to make sure that volunteers were vetted and had the same ideas as the teachers. So, but just a little something to put out there, because that's what I actually experienced.
So the topic is gender, and it's the about the programming and stuff like that. See, all right, this is the question. I think Americans are ready for the truth now, right? Because we like, why is this happening to all these schools, and why is this being forced on our babies, right? And what I say gonna make a lot of people mad, but it's the truth, and this shit been planned, right? Now, I just want to play this for you real quick.
Had a plan.
Listen to this right here. This is from 1940s.
Nazi Germany had a plan to sexualize America's children. And Nazi German scientists started working with Alfred Kinsey in the U.S., the Kinsey Institute.
The great sex researcher of the 1950s.
Absolutely. And this is a man who
Listen to this
sexual acts on 6-week-old babies, boys. And they wrote that every child wants to be sexual. And he interviewed pedophiles and asked pedophiles, what do you think a child wants? It's a completely flawed work. But we have built America's sexual foundation. Every book every viewer read when they grew up was based off of Kinsey's work, all our curriculum. Hugh Hefner was a subject of Alfred Kinsey. Kinsey met Hefner at a college campus, and Hefner was still a virgin at the time, and he groomed Hefner, and he said, look, through publication and pornography, we can desensitize the American male. It is a planned, systemic, and systematic attack on God's purpose for sexuality.
So this is one of the things that was planned by the Nazis. And
Actually, may I step in and just comment before you go further?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, the Nazis were against all of this. They actually, transgenders actually went in the gas chambers. And I don't know who's saying that, but I do agree with you that it was planned. And whoever's talking up like this, they're blaming Nazis in this case, but I don't believe it stems from the Nazis. It goes back further.
Ma'am, I got you, man. But like I said, nobody's talk about the truth and where the origins of this stuff come from. I don't know. You might be an agent or whatever, but I'm just putting out the information that most American parents don't know, and they asking for answers. So I'm telling them where all this stuff was birthed from. This is not no conspiracy theory. And the whole founder of, he is also Alfred Kensington is also the founder of the LGBT community. And do anybody know what NAMBLA represents in this room? Have y'all ever heard of the word NAMBLA?
Yep.
What does
National Association for Boy Lovers or something?
Yeah, Male Boy Love Association. They are the founders of the LGBT community, Harry Hay and Alfred Kensington. I don't know what that woman is talking about. So when it's a great book. It's called The Merchants of Sin. You can get it for free on DuckDuckGo. It breaks down the whole history of why they pushing homophilia, pedophilia on our children in our schools. But they're not teaching that and pushing that to the children of these synagogues to go to these synagogues. Now, y'all can say what y'all want to say. I'm just trying to show y'all what's not being talked about. They're not going to talk about this. This is an attack on our children. You feel me? Period. It's to dismantle America, dismantle the morals. This has been written in their book that they have since 1903. It's another great book called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. This is the same book that China is going against. That's why China don't represent no gay stuff or nothing on TV, no feminine men, none of that. No other countries is doing this but America. And when y'all...
I fully agree with you about that 1903 business. And
Right.
basically, this is why you hear so many people on Twitter speaking against Zionists. Because if you look at the Davos crowd, the New World Order, the Rothschilds, all of that crowd, we're not talking about the average Jewish person, but the leaders. Those leaders, along with the UK monarchy, are pulling the strings on all of this. They want to bring this country to its knees. I actually heard Prince Charles talking about the goal being to deindustrialize the Western nations. I don't know. Now he's king. Maybe he wants us all to be serfs again. There's a few things in play here. They want to they want to create chaos, and they're using Antifa to create chaos. And under the guise of Antifa thinks they're fighting for socialism. But what's happening is these globalists, elites in Davos, they want us all destroyed. They're doing so many things to cull our population. I do not trust the medical community at all. The medical community, well, Big Pharma in particular, you look at their CEOs, they show up at Davos for the meetings. And as far as NAMBLA and what you're talking about, that's correct. But the Nazis did not start this. It started in 1800s, I already heard talk about it. It started as a genocidal movement. They want to reduce the population. They want to slow down fertility. That's why they've done all these monstrous things over the years. And all of us have suffered by it. And
so at one point, the Nazis did not target transgenders in the gas chambers. They did not. That is a lie that the TRA spread. So if you look, in their laws, if you look, they targeted gay males. They did not target lesbians and trans women.
The Nazi Party laws, they basically took the Jim Crow laws of the U.S. and they converted that.
Yeah, so what happened they had a transgender clinic. I believe this was in the late 1930s that they burned down. And they did not burn it because it was a transgender clinic. They burned it because the lead physician was a Jew. And then they actually used a trans woman in, I can't remember what Olympic Games it was. But his name was Dora. And they ran Dora against the other Jewish runners who were running because they wanted to make, they were like the top seeded runners and they were Jewish women. And they wanted to make sure that Jewish women did not win this specific race. And so they ran a transgender woman in the Olympics, and Dora actually won gold. And so they weren't pro-transgender, but they very much did not target transgenders in the gas chambers. They may have been restricted in certain aspects, like lesbian women were, but they were not lesbian women and transgender women were not specifically thrown in the gas chambers for being those identities, but gay men were.